Hola, Taper Livette Thompson. I'm here from thedreamunlocked.com. And today, I want to talk about on camera acting because I just had an audition for a series regular. And there were some interesting things that I learned. One, when you're on camera, it's not about shaping moments, it's about allowing what's happening to you to happen, right? It's about putting all of your attention on your acting object or the event that's going on, the inciting incident as a writer that's happening in the scene, and how you feel about that. You don't need to act that. You just need to have an opinion about it. And the camera will do the rest. Okay? The camera is going right here. It wants to know what your psychology is. And your psychology are the unspoken subconscious thoughts that you have that you never say out loud. And that's why we love TV, right? Because people are doing this, but we see what's really happening, right? Particularly in high stakes kind of material like science fiction where the fantastical is happening. It's up to the actor to make that really real by being incredibly truthful, right? My focus early on in my career, of course, was classical work. I even knew when I was in grad school, I was like, I want to join a classical company and I want to master Shakespeare. Because there's something about the ability to create the reality of something so out of this world, but we believe it, right? And the Brits are particularly good at that. Shakespeare is particularly good at that because it's not our world, right? It's this whole other world that we know nothing about. And someone was asking me about this the other day when we were talking about the Gilded Age and, speech and accent. And I was like, it's not speech or accent. It's the work that an actor does, the internal work that an actor does to understand the world that they are uh, hired to create, right? So if the world that you're hired to create has people with telekinetic energy, what else might be different about that world, right? And I learned this doing Shakespeare, and I remember in my voice and speech class with May Logrins, she said we were assigned. Oh my gosh, what is the name of this book? Oh, the Shakespearean World. I'll remember this in a minute. Basically, you go in and you do research about what people's belief systems were there, how they entertained themselves, what they ate, what healthcare was like, how long did they live, what time did their day start. You get a complete understanding of the world that you're entering into when it's a fantastical world. Okay. So, or when it's period. And this kind of research, I mean, that encompasses style work. That's what I learned in school. And style is more than just the way you speak. Style work is your ability to create a truthful reality that is completely different from your own, which means the actor has to not only do research, but then within that research, they need to understand how people moved and talked and what they talked about and how they felt about it in this world. For example, the the idea in Star Trek is that we have gotten beyond gender. We have gotten beyond racism. We have gotten beyond war, self destructive war, and selfishness and pettiness, right? That's the premise that we have evolved enough, that we have a federation with people who look completely different from us, people who aren't even humanoid. And when Jean Luc got on that bridge, you believed you were in another world. That's why you stay with it. And that's more than just the accent, right? I saw him in The Tempest, and there's something that the Brits understand about creating the reality of a different world. And it was really interesting watching this actor shape and mold the reality so that you bought that he had power, right? That he could magically create a storm, Prospero. It's the same thing in Star Trek, right? Classical work is style work. Any kind of work in which you're entering a world that is completely different from yours, you have to understand the style, right? And that means you need to do research about that world, right? For example, when I was in Morocco, I did a workshop, a retreat, where I brought American women with Moroccan women. And the American women had this idea that these women were going to be so different. They all wore the hijab. They didn't speak English. They were like, oh, they're going to be different. And once they got talking, they realized with a translator that they were more alike than they were different. But then they became keenly aware of the differences of a world in which women pray 5 times a day. In their day, they are not on their computers. They are not on internet or YouTube all day long. This is a world in which people wake up at 5 a.m., make their own bread, or pick up their bread and their fresh chicken from the farmer down the street, right? And they've put that order in, right? They live in a traditional 12th century house that has modern conveniences, but their family has lived there for 7 generations. Women who live in a world like that move a whole lot slowly, right? Life is easy, right? They wear caftans, jalabas that look like pajamas. What would change about you if you were in a world in which the internet and talking to a whole bunch of strange people and convenience stores and all that shit was not a part of your reality? You got up and you went to the farmer's market down the street from your house, or your eggs from your neighbor, and the day starts out slowly that way. And then everybody stops at 3 o'clock and sips tea. Style work is about imagining the world that you're trying to create and how that would change you inside. So if you need to go in and do it, go in and do it, right? I mean, traveling, and by going in, I mean traveling to different places. With Shakespeare, the Shakespearean worldview, that's the name of the book. It helped me understand that they believed in humors, that they believed in ghosts, that they believed in curses, right? That they had fears that we don't have, that people were expected to live until 40, that they got news 5, 6 days after it happened, but acted like it was news, right? They relied completely on the Lord of the Manor, right? And if he got attacked, you could be attacked and bombed or your village destroyed at any moment. What is it to live in a world that operates like that? It's far more primal than the world you are. All of that requires, and I tell this of writers and of actors, is when you go in and you research a place and a time, look at their core values, what they believe in, what they're afraid of, how they love, what they prioritize, marriage and family, how do they get their food, how do they spend their day. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to slow down your language, you're going to savor language, right? You're going to move differently in that world, right? That's style work. And on camera, it's really important to know these things because you internalize them, and that's what the camera experience is, right? I just had an audition in which a woman is, you know, basically a witch, right, with powers, telekinetic powers, right? Um, and very ambitious about what she wanted from her life, and very unapologetic about that, and had been living for thousands of years. She ain't got to move too much. She's been living for thousands of years. If somebody gets up in her face and wants to start some shit, she blinks her eyes and he goes up in smoke. This works for me. That's a different kind of person. You don't need to put all these things on it. Less is more. Because inside, you're imagining a world in which all those things are true. She's been living for thousands of years. She been there, she done that, she over it. There's very little she has to do except settle into what that reality would look like. She's had different kinds of days in which she was a woman who went to the well in the morning and that was the only water for the day, to a world where they were just getting trains for the first time or electricity for the first time. This is a different person. And all you have to do is do the research about the world you're entering and then embody that, how that would affect your psychology, and go through your day. If you need to fantasize about waking up in the morning and what your day would look like if you were this person, do it. And be true to it. Like, there ain't no coffee machine in her world. She's going to go get the coffee beans out of her pantry outside, and she's going to beat them with a mortar and pestle, and then she's going to pour hot water over them while she's already built a fire. Like, invest in that reality, right? I was talking the other day about the Gilded Age, and I was like, nobody's acting like they ain't eating and living in a corset for 12 hours a day. And a woman's reputation could be destroyed in a moment. They were just doing voices and putting on costumes. The reality of that world has not been embodied. And the camera loves it when the camera really believes you're there in your subconscious. So the first step is do the research. The second step is to do the fantasy work about how you would move, think, and talk in this world based on the belief systems, the inventions, daily life, healthcare, lifespan. That's what I've been thinking about today. So take it, go. And in particular, because I love uh, fantasy and sci-fi, I think that that kind of acting is really difficult, and it uses lots of different muscles, and it's exciting. All right, y'all. Love you. Mean it. Bye-bye.